lot of stories that unfold in a kelp forest every single day. But have you ever wondered what happens when the kelp breaks off and drifts away? Kelp paddies are formed when the kelp forests are broken up by waves or animals weakening the kelp stalk. Once this happens, they drift away and we find them floating offshore. Periodically, our aquarists will go on our collecting boat and examine the kelp paddies for different sorts of life. What looks like trash is really a small, temporary ecosystem used by a diversity of many different animals. Wow, if you look really close, look at the tiny slug. That's great camouflage. Thousands of mysid shrimp, kelp isopods, and baby young-of-the-year rockfish are often found mixed in with the kelp blades. We carefully release any of the animals we don't need back to the kelp paddy. The kelp paddy naturally disintegrates in around 110 days or less, and then the animals are usually eaten by predators unless they can find a safe home. Today we are collecting some lion's mane nudibranch for one of our exhibits. They're named that because when the mouth is open, it looks like a roaring lion, and they're a type of shellless snail. We can often smell their lemon fragrance before we even see them. They are so delicate that we carefully scoop them up with kelp leaves and put them in a bucket of seawater. Those are all lion's mane nudibranchs sticking to the sides of the bucket. Lion's mane nudibranch usually use their suction cup foot to hold onto the kelp, but when we first put them in the holding tanks in our care center, they often swim around until they can find a spot they want to hold on to. They are fascinating animals. The lobes that look like ears are actually their gills. We feed them different types of plankton throughout the day, and you can often see them opening their mouths to grab a mouthful of water and food at the aquarium. This is a different collection trip last year when we caught baby split-nosed rockfish for our lookup tank in the exploration center at the aquarium. We carefully put the fish in our collection barrels or our holding tanks and chill the water while bubbling in oxygen from a special fish oxygen tank. You're in luck! One of our aquarists is adding the new fish to the tank. This was back in February. These fish were acclimated and treated for parasites for a few weeks before we moved them from our animal care center. Here's a view of the fish from under the tank. If you've ever wanted to see what it's like to be under a kelp paddy, you can do this at our aquarium in our exploration center. Time for a kelp paddy dive! Now that you've seen the kelp paddies above the water, let's get a good look below the water. One of the most amazing things about kelp paddies is that the diversity of fish changes over the course of the year. During the winter colder months, we often see split-nosed rockfish and flag rockfish. But sometimes, in the summer, we'll see half-moon perch, treefish, or even baby yellowtail. These are young-of-the-year yellowtail and about 4 inches long. Yellowtail can get pretty big. I've seen local yellowtail to about 50 pounds around our islands. Now, yellowtail are not tuna. They are a pelagic fish in the jack family. Look at the curious young-of-the-year half-moon perch coming in to say hello. Whoa! Look at all the ocean sunfish, or what we call Mola, that were underneath this paddy. This was a very special occasion where we saw about 20 of them. These mola are pretty young. They can grow rapidly though to 11 feet and 2.5 tons. They can lay up to 300 million eggs. Molas eat jellyfish and other plankton. We collect kelp paddy fish by swimming around and catching them in underwater nets, or by scooping up the smaller paddies entirely with nets. Sometimes we even get to fish for them. On this day, we are fishing for baby yellowtail for our fish diversity tank. And shh! Don't tell anyone! Fishing is hard work! We always wet our hands before touching any fish to help protect their delicate slime. The slime protects the fish's scales. The fish are a little nervous at first, but once the water is cooled down and aerated with our fish oxygen tank, the fish settle down for their trip back to the aquarium. Just like all of our new acquired fish at the aquarium, we keep the fish in holding for a few weeks to make sure they're healthy and feeding well. When everything seems okay, we'll put them on display. We had these yellowtail in our schooling fish tank for about a year, and then they outgrew their tank. So as they grew bigger, we added them to our kelp forest tank as well as our back display tanks. Eventually they will outgrow this as well, and then at that time we will give them to other aquariums or release them back into the ocean. Even though a kelp paddy only lasts a little over 3 months, it sure holds an amazing amount of life. Thanks for spending some time with us. We really hope to see you at the Cabrillo Marine Aquarium soon.
Say, when I grow up, I'm going to be a diver just like you.